Today's story is The Rainbow Crow. Now, this story is retold by Nancy Van Laan. And she's got a little note about how she came to hear about this story, The Rainbow Crow. Several years ago, at a corn planting ceremony near the author's home in Buck County, Pennsylvania, I was captivated about hearing the Lapnear elder, Bill Whipplewell Thompson. And beneath the trees, to a gathering of young and old, he told stories of his people, including the legend of the Rainbow Crow. Crow, also known as raven, had always intrigued me. First, its size, large, powerful. Second, its temperament, haughty, sly, mischievous. And third, its intelligence, fierce and daring. And finally, its wonderful sense of humor. When I heard this legend, I was surprised to discover yet another characteristic, bravery. And I was eager to write the tale down. Several legends from different tribes depict a crow as a fire bearer, but as far as I know, the Lenape is the only one that describes the crow as a bird with rainbow-colored feathers. An exotic, brilliantly plumed bird, a parakeet at one time, and it thrived in Pennsylvania, the Lenape's homeland. Interestingly, maize, corn, its favorite food of both birds. Perhaps the presence of the multicolored paraquet in the land of the Lenape inspired the original teller to choose the rainbow-colored crow. Today, Bill Thompson is Rainbow Crow's official teller. It has been handed down in his family from father to son for countless generations. I'm indebted to Bill for giving me the permission to adapt it to a publication, and I hope that through my retelling, a wide new audience will come to know the beautiful Lenape legend. So this is passed down from families, folklore almost. Let us begin. Long ago, before the two-legged walkers of the earth, the weather was always warm and the animals were always happy. But one day, something happened to cause the earth to grow cold. Tiny crystals gathered like diamonds drifted down from the sky and covered earth with a sparkling softness. The animals, seeing snow for the first time, were not afraid. But soon the snow deepened, and the mouse disappeared, and the tip of his tail was all the animals could see. And then they began to worry. The rabbit disappeared, the tips of his ears were the only thing that the animals could see. They began to worry some more. At last, they gathered together in the clearing deep inside the forest to talk about the weather. What was needed, they asked. They needed a messenger, they decided, to travel at once to the great sky spirit and ask him to stop the snow. But who would be willing to leave Earth to visit the distant place where the sky spirit dwelled? Possum said, "Owl is the wisest. Perhaps he should go." But no, the animals whispered, "he might get lost in the light of day. So Owl should not go." Then Beaver said, "Perhaps Raccoon should go." But no, the animals argued. Raccoon should not go. He might follow his tail instead of his nose. So they decided Raccoon should not go. Then Skunk said, "Perhaps Coyote should go." But no, the animals shouted. Coyote is clever and loves to play tricks. He might chase the clouds or swallow the wind. So Coyote should not go. Squittich, 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 yip, 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 yip. The noisy animals screeched and howled because they could not decide who should visit the great sky spirit to ask him to stop the snow. And so the snow grew deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the small animals climbed on top of the tall animals so that they would not disappear. It's not looking good. But suddenly, down from the top of the tallest tree flew Rainbow Crow, the most beautiful bird in all of the earth, who called out to all the other animals below in the sweetest voice of all, and he sang, "I will go, I will stop the snow." And the animals, happy to have at last Crow as their messenger, chanted a song of praise. "Ay, ay, 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 rain, Rainbow Crow, stop the snow, Crow, fly to the sky high, rain, Rainbow Crow, ay, 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 ay." And then up to the sky flew the rainbow crow, far above the snow and the winds of the earth, way beyond the moon, the stars, and even the clouds. For 3 days the crow flew until he came to the great sky spirit, who was too busy to notice. So Rainbow Crow began to sing. "O great spirit in the sky, you rule the earth from way up high. You make the creatures large and small. You are the ruler of us all. You make the trees and flowers grow. You cause the wind and clouds to blow. You make the rain, you make the snow. You make the cold on earth below. O great spirit in the sky, for you I sing this lullaby." The great spirit stopped and listened. Never before had he heard such a sweet voice singing such a beautiful song, and he told the crow to choose a gift. Now, Crow knew that far below the earth the snow was getting deeper, and he knew soon that the animals would disappear. So he asked the great spirit, to stop the snow. The great spirit replied, "No, Crow, I cannot stop the snow, for the snow is a spirit of its own. When the snow spirit leaves the clouds to visit with his friends, the wind spirit, the snow will stop, but the earth will still be cold." So Crow asked the great spirit to stop the cold. The great spirit replied, "No, Crow, I cannot stop the cold. All I can do is give you the gift of fire. Fire will keep you warm, and it will melt the snow so that you and your friends can be content until the warm weather returns." The great spirit picked up the stick, put a bit of fire on the end of it, and handed it to Crow. "I will give you this gift, but once, hurry, fly back to Earth before the fire disappears." And off flew the crow. On the first day, Crow flew down, showering sparks of fire as it darkened his tail feathers. On the second day, as the crow flew down, the fire burned brighter, and the stick grew shorter, and all of Crow's feathers were covered in soot. On the third day, as Crow flew down, the fire was so hot that the stick was so short that smoke and ash blew into the crow's mouth, and his voice became cracked and hoarse. And instead of a beautiful voice, it was now a caw, caw. And when at last the crow returned to the clearing in the forest, the animals had disappeared. Only the tops of the tallest trees could be seen, and their branches sprouting through the deep snow. So Crow flew down close to the pale, pale ground, around and around and around, until the fire melted the snow, and his friends were safe. And the tiny stick of fire became the grandfather of all fires. And for this, and all the animals on earth, they thanked Crow. They danced and chanted a song of praise. "Ay, ay, 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 ay! Young, kind, brave Crow saved us from the snow. Flew up to the sky so high, brought back fire. Now just plain Crow, no more rainbow. Ay, 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 ay." At last, Crow, all alone, flew off to a distant tree, where he wept, for he was no longer beautiful. He could no longer sing his sweet song, and his rainbow feathers were gone forever. And when the snow spirit emptied the clouds and joined the wind spirit, the snow stopped, but Crow still wept. The great sky spirit heard Crow and came down from the sky. And when he saw Crow, he said, "Soon the two-leggeds will appear on earth. He will take the fire and be master of all but you. For being so brave and unselfish, I give you the gift of freedom. The two-leggeds will never hunt you, for your meat tastes like fire and smoke. The two-legged will never capture you, for your beautiful voice is now crackled and hoarse. The two-legged will never want your feathers, because your rainbow colors are gone. But your black feathers will shine, and they will reflect all the colors of earth. And you, if you look closely, will see." Then Crow looked, and he saw hundreds of tiny rainbows shining in his black feathers, and he was content. The great spirit returned to his home in the distant sky, and Crow happily returned to his friends in the forest, proud that he was now Black Crow with shining feathers full of tiny rainbows.